We're at the Oakes and Woodall Cemetery near Pamplin, Virginia, off Route 660, Heights School Road. Here's the cemetery. Just finished cleaning it up. And this is probably the first burial here at Sally Oakes, the child of Sarah and Samuel Oakes. 1875. And then right next to her is another grave, and this is John Woodall, Sarah and Judith's father. Go back up a little bit. I'm guessing that he was probably the second one buried here. Then we go over to his right, and that's his sister-in-law, Jane Morgan, who took care of Sarah and Judith after their mother died. And we keep on moving. Beside them are 3 children that were DeWitt Oakes brothers and sisters. They all died as children, but there's 3 graves here, and I'll probably add the caption. I have to look at my notes to see which ones are which. And that's just the Oakes marker that DeWitt and Sam put up, I think. It could have been somebody else, but... And then... here's Charlie Oakes and his wife, Carrie P. Oakes. Charlie Oakes was Samuel Oakes' son, and they just lived, their home place was just south of here. It was torn down a few years ago. He farmed and had a little store beside the house that he ran for years. Now, one of their children was DeWitt, that told me all these stories and told me who was who, and Sam Oakes. DeWitt was buried in Richmond. He ran the Hotel Jefferson with the big staircase that Scarlett O'Hara went down and Gone with the Wind, part of that movie. He managed that for years and then retired. And he's buried off of Patterson Avenue as you're going towards Goochland County on Route 6. We'll go on to the left here. Now we were just over there, and I moved back over here towards Samuel. One more thing about DeWitt. DeWitt was stationed at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, when the Japanese attacked. He was there for the whole thing. And here you have another son of Samuel, John, and his wife Julia. And their son Harry, I don't know much about him other than I think he lived in Chicago. And then down below here you have Harry's sister, Louise Woodall, and her son Purcell. His ashes. He's the last one placed here, just this past year. Now Harry's brother Sam was the one that used to come up and visit all the time when I was a kid. He lived down near Ivor. He worked for the Norfolk and Western Railroad for years. Lived at different places, Chicago, and then ended up in Norfolk. He didn't have any children, but he sure was a lot of fun to be around. Here's another recent burial, Beatrice Oakes Hawk. Now these are all descendants of Judith Woodall Oakes. I don't know a lot about them, but Jim Oakes lived across the road here, just west of this cemetery. Their house is gone. It burned years ago. In Cheatham. And then there's several unmarked graves. And DeWitt and them may have told me who they were, but I can't remember. I didn't write those down. And here we have some more. Williana Oakes. Of course, not very old when she died. Robert Oakes, brother to Samuel. And we have Judith Woodall Oakes. I guess they were very independent women because they both have their maiden names on their stones along with their married names. And then in the back here, or the first one I guess you'd say, is Grover Baldwin. He was married to one of the Oakses and was killed in a train wreck. He was a fireman on the North and Western Railroad, and somewhere near Spout Spring towards Lynchburg, just west of there, the engine derailed, and then I think the explosion afterwards killed him after the steam built up in the engine. Here's a view of the cemetery looking east. When I cleaned this off 30 years ago for the first time, that tree right there in the foreground is about as big as my leg and has since grown into quite a big thing.